Okay, first thing we're gonna do before we work with charcoal is practice with a value scale, which just means shading different lightness and darknesses of charcoal. So first thing you need to do, just with a pencil, is make a rectangle. It does not obviously have to be perfect. Along the length of your bookmark paper. And then you're gonna split this rectangle into 5 sections. So, and they don't have to be perfectly equal, just try your best. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections, and we're gonna go from light to dark. So light on the left, darkest on the right. And to do this, we're just gonna use charcoal and a blending stump. So a blending stump is just a piece of rolled up paper. It's tightly wound and then glued together. So guys, these are super fragile, so don't play with them. I only have enough for every student to have one. Don't press down on the tip of them. Make sure when you're blending with them, you use like the side of it rather than the tip of it. Okay, so the lightest shade over here, with your charcoal, you're going to barely even touch the paper with it, and you're going to leave quite a bit of white paper showing through. Okay, so that's all I'm doing. Barely touch the paper, leaving a lot of white in this section. Then you're gonna take your blending stump, and again, using the side of it, not the tip of it, and you just kind of blend it out. I like to use kind of circular motions. I feel like it blends it the best and doesn't leave a whole lot of lines when you do that. Okay, so that's it for our lightest shade. Then you're going to do what we just did again with your charcoal, so barely pressing down on the paper. But this time, instead of just doing like lines one way, we're gonna go over them the other way. Okay, so on this one, we just went like that. This one, we're doing like X's almost. Okay, but again, do not press down hard with your charcoal. It should just barely touch the paper. Okay, and then we are blending it out with our blending stump. You should be able to tell the difference between this shade and this shade. It's just slightly darker. If it needs to be a little darker, you can always go back on top of it and add another layer. I didn't need to add too much, but to show you guys. And if it's too dark, you can erase charcoal. So that's an option too. All right, so now for the third section, we're gonna do what we just did here, but this time we're not gonna leave as much white paper showing through. So again, barely pressing it, but a little bit harder. Okay, so we have less white paper showing through, but we're still using what they call a cross hatching technique, which just means you're making like crosses, like X's. Okay, then you are going to take your blending stump, again, using the side of it, not the tip of it. And this should be darker than the last one. Okay. Now for the fourth section, you are going to just pretty much color in the whole section to where there's not a whole lot of white showing through at all. Okay, so you're pretty much just coloring in the whole section like that. You can go back this way if you need to, but it should be dark enough on its own if you just color in with barely any white showing through. But then you take your blending stump once again and blend it out. And the blending stump, guys, is you're barely pressing the paper with it too. So I'm just lightly holding this in my hand. Okay, but it should be, again, gradually getting darker each time. So this should be darker than that section. If it's not, just add a little bit more to it and blend it out and make it darker. Okay, so the final section, what we're gonna do is just color it in and not use our blending stump to blend it out. So this one will just be charcoal. And y'all, charcoal is super duper messy, so if your hands are dirty, and it really should just be your fingers. Your hands should never be filthy, okay? But if your fingers have some charcoal on them, then you can grab a baby wipe from me or from the teacher and just wipe it off. It comes off really easily, okay? But that is it for creating our value scale.